Trauma is an overwhelming experience that shocks you. It moves you out of this, we have this normative kind of mode of what's comfortable, what's available, of what we should expect and not expect. And then we have big events, big traumas, big things that just shock our worlds. So a big betrayal, a big heartbreak, a big experience of abuse or something, a surgery that happens, a health crisis, something that's a big thing that just pulls us out of ourselves and into a new world. And, again, a lot of us, I'm sure, have experienced many types of these events over the course of our lives. And of course, we're made to experience them because we're here to be tested. But we're also here to be made triumphant. Right? We're here to transmute those traumas into triumph and ultimately to taqwa. That's what we're supposed to be doing with our trauma. These overwhelming experiences that we have in the world, they're not here to punish us. They're not here to break us down. They're not here to serve as a way of distracting us from something. It's supposed to wake us up. It's supposed to bring us to Allah. It's supposed to bring us to ourselves, our real selves. And there is this struggle that is part and parcel of that experience, but it is there. It is here, right? Like that is the inherent telos of trauma, if you will, the purpose of trauma, right? Like the metaphysicians, they talk about the four causes. Everything has four causes, right? You have the efficient cause, the material cause, the formal cause, and the final cause. And so the final cause is like the purpose, right? The final cause of trauma is to awaken you to God and to cultivate taqwa and to bring you back into your embodied heart. That is the purpose. That is the purpose of trauma. The efficient cause, of course, is like the agent. So God. God is the efficient cause. The material cause is like this particular kind of situation that you're in. So let's say like someone gaslighting you, or like a state like Israel gaslighting you, or cursing you or abusing you in some way, right? And the formal cause like the pattern. So, it's bringing up this abandonment archetype within you, some sort of form pattern that it's bringing up inside of you, right? The final cause, so regardless of what that may be, the final cause is always come back to Allah Ta'ala. Come back to Allah. So you have two types of trauma, this is what the trauma specialists nowadays talk about, that we have two main forms of trauma. You have shock trauma and you have childhood or developmental trauma. And traumas are, so let's say, shock trauma. The shock trauma are things that are like one-off events, one-off experiences. So things like a car accident, or you get jumped, God forbid, or you have to go into surgery. Okay. These one big kind of overwhelming physiological kind of fight flight inducing experiences. Okay. That's shock trauma. Just boom. Childhood trauma, developmental trauma is different. Some people call childhood trauma lowercase t trauma, and the shock trauma capital T trauma. But I don't like that because I don't think it's true personally. But the childhood trauma is the trauma that we experience as relational wounds when we grow up in our earliest environments, right? Because we come into the world whole. We come into the world in our fitrah. كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. Every child's born in fitrah, in wholeness. Not Muslim, not born Muslim. It's not true. We're born in our fitrah, right? But some of us are born into Muslim families. Alhamdulillah, what a great gift that is, right? Alhamdulillah. But some of us are born in Christian families. Some of us are born in Jewish families, as the hadith later then uh, explains. Some are born pagan or atheists now or whatever. But so the fitrah can change, right? That's the whole idea, that you're born in fitrah and then you're born into these different families, these different environments, and then the fitrah has to change. It changes. If you become Muslim, inshallah ta'ala, the fitrah, at least at the religious and spiritual level, remains intact, but otherwise it changes. But what's interesting about that hadith is if we extrapolate to other levels of influence. So if the religion of the family changes our religion, basically, then what about the psychological environment? What about the emotional intelligence and the relationship dynamics in the environment that we grow up in as well? Do those also influence us? I mean, we know now intuitively that they do. Like, it's like, duh, right? Duh, like, do birds fly? You know, do whales swim? Are we affected by our early environments? Do we have to really bring the evidence for that? It's obvious, right? It's even reported, for example, you know, that Sayyidna Umar, who we all love, don't we love the Sayyidna Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was asked once, why are you so angry? Why are you always so angry? And he said, but something really interesting, amazing. I'd love to have this, you know, confirmed, but it's reported that he said, well, my father used to beat me when I was a child. That's what he said. So he is reporting and relating that his struggle, you know, his quick temper, right, which was his process. I mean, he needed to work through that. Was as a result of a change that happened in his environment in childhood. His father was very aggressive. His father was kind of like him, and it wasn't like him. I mean, he wasn't Amir al-Mu'mineen Sayyidina Umar. He wasn't a Sahabi Jalil. But similar in the sense that he was a tough guy. He was really tough, right? So we know that these things affect us, right? These traumas, these early environments. And so what happens ultimately is that in some way we learn to disconnect from our hearts. This is my hypothesis here. So they disconnect. We disconnect from the heart. And so where do we go when we disconnect from the heart? We go into the nafs. So trauma in childhood is related to the formation of the nafs.